For Apostle Shaul, speaking of the church, the assembly, said there will come a time when they will not endure sound doctrine anymore. See, sound doctrine is the doctrine that you need to prepare you to fight this fight to be an overcomer. And this is why you have a fallen Christian Babylonian church today. Because the people are not fighting anymore. The preachers are not fighting anymore. They're telling the people that you cannot be perfect when the ancient men told them, be perfect. These modern day Babylonian preachers tell them you can't be perfect and nobody is. Sweep around your own door. That's not what they told them in the early centuries. That's not what they told them in the ancient days and times. For Apostle Shaul said, as many as be perfect. He said, not that I've counted myself to have apprehended, but this I do, I press on toward the mark. He set the standard high because he was what? Giving a first resurrection message to the people. These preachers today give a second resurrection message, which is why most of these Christians that will be on the earth when the Mashiach returns will not be changed. They never fought to be overcomers. They laid down on a false doctrine that told them that when they received salvation by faith, that was the end of the struggle. And they couldn't be perfect, so don't worry about it. That's a false message. And those pastors and preachers that preach that doctrine, they're going to have to answer to the king for it. Nevertheless, my brethren, that went up with me made the heart of the people melt. But I wholly followed Yahuwah, my Elohim. Let me tell you something. It ain't easy to find people that want to follow the whole word, that want to follow it all the way. You got too many people that only want to follow it so far. And they say this is where the kid gets off. They got to back up now. They ain't ready to go all the way with it. But what did he say? He that overcometh shall inherit all things. And I will be his Elohim, and he will be my son. If you think that to inherit all things, all you got to do is just believe on Yahushua the King, and that's it, and then go on and just live your life however you going to live it, and just say, I ain't perfect, nobody's perfect, and that's it? And you really think that that's what it is? Come on, think about it. Does that make any sense? It makes no sense at all. Didn't he promise the children of Israel the land of promise? But to get it, they had to fight for it. Didn't he promise his son that ask of me and I will give you the nations for an inheritance? But what did he have to do for it? He gave his life when he hung upon the tree. Do you see the pattern? You gotta fight for it. You gotta sacrifice and suffer for this thing. It's not that easy like these Babylonian preachers are teaching you, while they take your money and live in their houses and drive their cars and put their zoot suits on and have these strange, bizarre messages about have you ever been swallowed? And people sitting out there in them Babylonian congregations listening to that garbage. They're the ones who will not endure sound doctrine, but they heap unto themselves these false prophets. And then soon as one of them fall, them hypocrites want to run out and attack the man. You always knew the man was who he was. We all know in the black community, most of these big Babylonian churches out here are run by what? Homosexual preachers. We know that. And there's nothing new about that. And my father used to preach against that when I was a little kid way back in the 60s. The homosexual preachers would be up in the pulpit and he would be lighting them on, setting them on fire while they were sitting there right behind him. He knew all about them. That's one thing I will always respect about him. And heaven has noted that he did that in the 60s, and they threatened his life. And Virginia, they told him they was going to throw his body in the Dismal Swamp. I remember that from a child, but he never stopped preaching against it. Better hear me. This stuff goes all the way back, and I remember it. Nothing new about it. And so when one of these preachers, these crooked preachers have a slip, then you got all these other vultures, these other wolf preachers that come in on him, trying to take advantage. Now I can get more people maybe listen to me because he done messed up. But you always knew he was that. You always knew what these people in these communities, you know what these preachers are doing out here. And I said it before and I say it again. A lot of these Christians think that they're going to get by on Judgment Day. And they think just the shepherds are in trouble. They preach them damnable heresies to them. You're going to answer for supporting that Babylonian mess when you know it wasn't right. Ain't nobody going to get by in the end. Everybody going to have to answer.